So have you noticed there's a strange feeling in the air, a silent weight that doesn't come from you, but insists on drawing near. It's restless. Even though he tries to hide it, his thoughts keep returning to the same point. You. It's no coincidence that old memories are surfacing so vividly, as if time has broken its own line. And everything that was stored away is now pulsating once again. He believed that moving on would be simple, that silence would resolve the discomfort. But some things don't disappear, especially when the heart never learned to cope with absence. You feel it in some way, an inexplicable presence, an echo that doesn't ask for permission. And do you know what's curious? He didn't expect the distance to be so loud. He didn't expect that every little detail of everyday life would carry fragments of you. A scent, a song, a street, a phrase said by someone. Everything became a trigger. And no matter how much he tries to convince himself that it's just nostalgia, deep down he realizes it isn't. Because there's no nostalgia that hurts as much as regret. He's dealing with something he can't control, with the awareness that, in his rush to move forward, he left important pieces behind. Pieces that now haunt him, pieces that bear your face. It's almost ironic. He thought he could silence the memory, but now the memory is silencing him. He hesitates to speak because he knows that his voice might no longer be welcome, but at the same time the silence destroys him. Have you ever experienced this? The feeling that someone, even from afar, still holds an invisible thread that pulls you back. If this resonates with you, comment, "I needed to hear this." He recalls conversations, words said and unsaid, the weight of gestures that won't come back, and the strange clarity that only arrives too late. It's not just longing. It's as if he's standing in front of a mirror, and in the reflection is the version of himself that only existed when you were around. A part that he couldn't recreate anywhere else. Time doesn't erase this kind of mark. He may have tried to fill the void. Other stories, other faces, other distractions. But you know how it is. When the soul recognizes what is unique, nothing can replace it. He thinks about reaching out to you. He's thought about it more than once, rehearsed messages, wrote and deleted them, held his phone in his hands and let the impulse fade away. But the impulse always comes back. You might be wondering, why now? Because it's now that he can no longer hide from himself. It's now that the memories have grown stronger than pride, and he realizes that, no matter how much time has passed, the space you occupy in him remains untouched. He's not looking for easy answers. In fact, he's afraid of the answers, afraid that you've moved on, afraid that your life is filled with things that no longer have room for him. But still, something inside him insists on trying. What does he plan? He doesn't know for sure. There's no ready script, no perfect words. There's just a desire to reconnect with some part of himself through you. It's possible that he won't say anything. It's possible that he'll continue watching from afar, trying to figure out if there's a crack to draw closer. But silence no longer protects him. He knows that the weight he feels won't disappear on its own. There's a phrase that keeps repeating in his mind. Is there still time? And every time that question echoes, the image that emerges is yours. Not as a distant memory, but as something alive, present, that insists on existing within him. If you knew the intensity with which he thinks about this, perhaps you would realize it's not just about you. It's about his struggle against himself. He's not just looking for reconnection. He's seeking redemption. He seeks the peace of knowing that somehow it's still possible to fix something. And with each passing day, the weight grows heavier. He realizes that if he doesn't do anything, he will remain stuck in this feeling forever. Perhaps that's why, even without total courage, he can't fully distance himself. Do you feel it? That strange frequency, as if someone is calling out to you without using words, as if a part of your story is begging to be revisited. If this made you think of someone specific, write yes here in the comments. He's about to make a decision, and although the fear is great, there is a stronger force pushing him forward, a need to break the silence. What comes next? That's something even he doesn't know yet, but you'll notice when it happens. He takes a deep breath. It's not the first time he's thought about you today. Not the second. In fact, he's lost count. What scares him isn't the remembering. What scares him is realizing that remembering has never stopped being part of his routine, as if the thought is always there, lurking, ready to come to light. He has tried to convince himself that this is temporary, a phase, a reflection of some momentary need, but the truth runs deeper. Because there are things that survive the test of time, and you are one of them. He's been revisiting old memories, sometimes on purpose, sometimes unintentionally. But in all of them, there's a feeling that disarms him. The silence between you hasn't erased the significance of what you shared. The most curious thing is that he can't decide whether he wants to reach out to you or if he needs you to realize it without him saying anything. It's an internal struggle. A part of him wants to run to you. Another part remembers the consequences. But it's in this conflict that the truth resides. He still feels. He still holds on. He still hopes that somehow your paths will cross again. And even though he tries to mask it, the signs slip out. Small actions that reveal how much you occupy his mind. He revisits places where you both used to go. He listens to songs he used to avoid. Even certain recent choices carry his influence. If you pay attention, you'll notice strange patterns. Things that seem like coincidences, but aren't. He's sending signals even without realizing it, and maybe he's hoping you'll recognize some of them. The question he keeps asking himself is, do you still think of him too? This doubt consumes him, because the possibility that something might still exist between you is what keeps him moving. He has rehearsed messages so many times that he knows by heart everything he would write, but when the moment comes, he freezes. The fear of not being well received is too overwhelming. Even so, he realizes that not speaking also hurts, maybe even more, because silence is filled with possibilities and none of them bring peace. What he feels now is a dangerous mix of nostalgia and urgency. Nostalgia because you represent something he hasn't found anywhere else. Urgency because he fears that if he takes too long, the door will close forever. If this made you think of someone who still occupies your thoughts, comment, makes sense. He doesn't want to seem weak. He doesn't want to appear too regretful. But he can't deny it. There is regret. Not for what he lived, but for what he didn't experience. He knows that past decisions created the distance. And he also knows that if he doesn't do anything now, he might spend the rest of his life wondering, what if? That thought torments him more than any risk. And here's the point you might need to realize. He isn't just looking for an answer from you. He's searching for himself through this contact, because somehow he feels that there's still a part of him that only awakens when you're around. He picks up his phone again. His fingers hover over the screen. It's as if every letter typed carries immense weight. He starts to write, erases it, rewrites, erases again. It's not a lack of words, it's excess. Everything he thinks feels too small to express what he feels, and at the same time too big to fit into a simple message. He closes his eyes, breathes. The image of you appears clearly, and that's when he realizes it's not about what to say, it's about having the courage to show up. He remembers the last time he was close to you, the words that got stuck, the glances that held more than they could reveal, and the silence that began there and has dragged on until now. But in this moment, he understands that silence is no longer safe. In fact, silence is what condemns him the most. He opens the conversation. His heart races. Every second feels like it stretches for centuries. He doesn't know if you will respond. He doesn't know if he'll face indifference, coldness, or silence. But he understands that he needs to try. And in that impulse, something shifts within him. It's no longer about control. It's no longer about pride. It's about the need to bridge the distance. You might not have noticed, but some signs have already started to surface. Old likes, quiet presences, subtle movements trying to get closer without intruding. He's testing the waters, seeing if there's still room, waiting for an indication that the door isn't completely shut. If you've ever sensed this kind of silent approach from someone from your past, comment, I know what you're talking about. And now he's one step away. One step from turning this silence into real contact. One step from admitting he can't pretend to forget anymore. Do you feel that energy closing in? The frequency that once felt distant now pulses closer, as if the reunion is no longer a question of if, but of when. He types. This time he doesn't erase, he doesn't overthink. The need to speak outweighs the fear. The text is simple. No beating around the bush, no lengthy speeches, but filled with everything he has tried to hide until now. His hands tremble. His heart beats too fast. He reads the message one last time as if he wants to make sure he's not making a mistake. But he knows the mistake would be not to try. He hits send. The sound of the notification seems to echo louder than it should. And then silence returns. A new silence, heavy, filled with expectation. Now he's on the other side, waiting, wondering what you will think, imagining how you will react upon seeing his name on the screen. He knows he has no control over the response, but the simple decision to break the silence transforms him. In some way, he feels that regardless of what comes next, something within him has found peace by finally taking action. And deep down, he realizes that this message is not just a way to reach out. It's an opening, a chance to understand if there's still room to salvage something, or at least to close what's been left unresolved. If you've ever received an unexpected message from someone you couldn't forget, comment, "I've been through that." The most curious thing is that he doesn't know what comes next, but something inside him is certain that from this moment on, nothing will be exactly as it was before. He fixates on the screen. Every second seems to drag. It's as if time all of a sudden has learned how to torture. He thinks of every possible reaction you might have. Will you respond quickly? Will you ignore it? Will you read it and say nothing? Each possibility stirs something within him, but strangely, regret doesn't appear, because for the first time he's not acting to be accepted. He's acting because he can no longer bear the weight of unspoken words. His body is restless. His mind revisits moments with you, smiles, deep conversations, moments of silence that, even without words, said so much. And the longer he waits, the more he realizes the depth of what you both shared. He recognizes that this connection was not common. That's why he's never been able to replace it. It's at this point that the anxiety shifts form. Stop being afraid and start transforming into hope. Hope that you feel at least a fraction of what he is feeling right now. He already imagines what it would be like to see your reply on the screen. It doesn't matter if it will be short or long. The simple fact that you are still making space for him would be enough. If this has reminded you of someone who left you waiting for a response, comment, "I know how that feels." What he feels right now is not just anticipation. It's as if each heartbeat is calling for you, and somehow he believes that this energy can cross any distance. The screen lights up. His heart races as if it wants to escape his chest. The name that appears is yours. He holds his breath for a moment. Time seems to stop. All the scenarios he imagined condense into this single moment. He opens the message, and even before reading it, he feels a strange sense of relief. Because now there is no longer emptiness, there is a response, there is real contact. The words you send are simple, but for him they carry weight. It doesn't matter if you replied with neutrality or warmth. The fact that you responded opens a door he feared would be closed forever. He feels something change within him. An old tension dissolves, and a new space begins to open. It's not about going back to the past as if nothing happened. It's about recognizing that there is still a line connecting you both, a line that time could not cut. He smiles, a shy smile, almost imperceptible, but real, because he realizes that what started as an impulse is becoming a dialogue. And even if he doesn't know where this will lead, he feels that somehow this exchange is necessary. It might be the beginning of a reconnection. It might be the closing of a chapter, but he is ready to move forward whatever the direction may be. If you've ever felt that a single response changed the course of something important, comment, "That has happened to me." He reads your reply again, slowly, as if each word needs to be absorbed bit by bit. He feels that there's something in between the lines. Maybe curiosity, maybe caution, maybe a shy opening that he didn't expect to find. The fear that paralyzed him before begins to give way to another feeling, courage. He decides not to waste this opportunity. He replies with more care, no rush, no exaggeration. Each sentence he writes carries a silent intention to reconnect without intruding. He realizes he's no longer trying to prove anything. He's just trying to be present, and in some way he feels that you notice this difference. The conversation flows in short steps, nothing hurried, but there's something in the tone that seems to break down old barriers, as if with each exchange, a piece of the distance was dissolving. He starts to remember things he hasn't talked about in a long time, little details that were kept hidden, waiting for the right moment to be shared. And now, that moment is emerging. As much as there is apprehension, there's also a comforting sense of familiarity. It's like he's returning to a place he knows, but is now seeing with new eyes. If you've ever experienced the feeling of reconnecting with someone and sensed that time hasn't erased the bond, you might say, "I know how it is." And as the messages continue, he realizes something important. It's not just about talking about the past. It's about recognizing who you both are now and how that changes everything. The conversation continues, and with each message, something inside him falls away. It's as if every word knocks down a wall that seemed impossible to cross. He starts to speak more openly. He shares what he felt in your absence. He acknowledges the weight of silence. He admits his mistakes without cheap excuses. He doesn't expect everything to go back to how it was before. But he feels the need to make it clear what has always remained true. You still matter. And in that moment, his vulnerability doesn't sound like weakness. It sounds like sincerity, something rare, something you notice right away. The energy has changed. You're no longer talking like two strangers who share a past. You're speaking like two people who somehow still recognize each other. He knows that the decision to move forward, start anew, or end things isn't just his to make. But he also knows that whatever path is chosen, the hardest step has already been taken. He spoke, and you listened. This story can take many directions, and perhaps the next step will be the most revealing of all. If this resonated with you, the next video will resonate even more. Click here and continue with me.